The main topic of this presentation is evolution. This video is going to cover all sorts of things about evolution. First off is explaining evolution using anatomical evidence. First off is the definition of anatomical, which is structure of an organism, such as bones or organs. Skeletal structures and organs are very useful to support the theory that species have changed over time. Some species have bones or organs that serve no useful function. Even humans have useless organs and bones, like the appendix, sinuses, tonsils, wisdom teeth, and the coccyx, commonly known as the tailbone.
All of these body parts were useful long ago, but as the species evolved, the more useless they became. This is all evidence that species change over time.
You know what ride in our theme park reminds me of the word anatomical? The American eagle. Because it's so old it's nearly useless in the park. Because it's nothing compared to the new rides.
Now it's time to explain how organisms with beneficial traits are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on their genetic variations due to environmental forces and reproductive pressures. Take a look at my elephant right here. His extreme trait are his long tusks. They help him ward off lions that try to eat him and his family. Now we all know how he will reproduce, so there's no need to go into detail about that, but we all know it leads to this: a baby elephant that will inherit his father's huge tusks. How about that environmental force? How would this interfere with the elephant passing on his genetic variations? Okay, let's be real here. If you lived in a place like this, I think passing on genetic variations would be the only thing to do. Seriously, look how boring it looks. Now it's time to talk about the types of natural selection and compare and contrast them. The following are directional selection, stabilizing selection, disruptive selection, sexual selection, and artificial selection. Directional selection. The process of natural selection involving the genome for a species, directionally choosing certain genes to remain prominent in the species, such as the growth and size, in response to predation. Stabilizing selection. A type of selection that favors the average individuals in a population. Disruptive selection deals with the extreme traits of a population and the individual population. This differs in sudden change. In an environment, disruptive selection happens quickly and selecting for those extreme traits that help organisms survive in the new environmental conditions. Sexual selection. A natural selection arising through preference by one sex for certain characteristics in individuals of the other sex. Artificial selection. Human intervention in animal or plant reproduction to ensure that certain desirable traits are represented in successive generations. The things these natural selections have in common: they all affect the traits of species. And who can forget they all have the word selection? That is all I can find. Now for the things they don't have in common, such as they affect species in different ways. Artificial selection is more of a man-made selection. That's about it. Natural selection to Charles Darwin meant principle by which each slight variation of a trait, if useful, is preserved. Charles Darwin's famous quote, "Survival of the fittest," is actually stating that only the fittest organisms will prevail. Convergent evolution is the kind of evolution where organisms evolve structures that have similar structures or functions, in spite of their ancestors being dissimilar or unrelated. For example, cat-like saber-toothed predators evolved in 3 distinct lineages of mammals: saber-toothed cats, nimravids, and Thylacolus milis. Convergent evolution is like the boat swinging ride at our amusement park. That's because there are so many rides like this one, but at the same time they aren't alike. Divergent evolution is a process in which an interbreeding population or species diverges into 2 or more descendant species, resulting one similar or related species to become more dissimilar. Divergent evolution is like one of those haunted house rides. You go in excited, then come out crying like a baby. You'll never be the same. Gradualism and punctuated equilibrium are 2 ways in which the evolution of a species can occur. A species can evolve by only one of these, or by both. Gradualism is a selection and variation that happens more gradually. Over a short period of time it is hard to notice small variations that fit an organism slightly better to its environment. In punctuated equilibrium, change comes in spurts. There is a period of very little change, and then one or a few huge changes occur, often through mutations in the genes of a few individuals. Gradualism equilibrium is like the raging bull. It's nice and steady, very smooth ride indeed. And punctuated equilibrium is like the iron wolf, just not steady at all, but has its fun moments. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you didn't fall asleep from my boring voice. Have a great day.